The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will be live.
Greetings, my followers. Well, Meckanimal, and today we're going to learn how to unlock the handstand using the simplest minimal approach. And you have countless of videos out there on the internet that can be a little confusing because each of those videos depict limitless amount of exercise and progression and regression that you have to go about in order to achieve the handstand. But today I'm going to make it simple. The first thing to understand is to achieve a handstand, you have to have good. It involves having a good balance, all right, which is the big part of the skill itself. But in order to achieve that balance, you need to have a decent amount of shoulder strength or shoulder power. And to start the quest to the handstand, this is the first thing you have to target. So each individual, on average human being, should have the decent strength to do a pike push-up, and from that pike push-up, you could scale it to the higher from the regular one. You can scale it to the elevated pike push-ups, and so on to the handstand push-up on the wall. So this will be the simplest progression. It's the simplest picture to have of how you go from the basic pike push-up. And then once you achieve that decent shoulder strength required for you to stabilize your shoulder girth, you can scale it now to involving some isometric movement, which is the handstand hold itself, where you learn to the moving pattern, and the pattern being just the shoulder elevation. So first, the thing you need to understand is you need to work on the shoulder strength. Shoulder strength, it may take a long time depending on your fitness level at the moment. So, and it will be senseless to try to do a pike push-up if you can't perform a push-up, right? So it's just common sense. So for me suggesting you to start by the pike push-up is assuming that you have a decent level of fitness already. So for those who still don't have that baseline, that's another story. You have many other videos where you can learn to build like a baseline of upper body. So the basic pike push-up will be somewhere where you set yourself not too far away from your feet, and that will require you to have a decent amount of hamstring flexibility to keep your legs straight and load them up. If you do not have or possess that flexibility, feel free to bend slightly your knees to accommodate your mobility. And from there, as I can extend, you load up your shoulder, and from that position, you drop down and then push. You see, that looks simple, but actually very hard if you do it with the strictest ability, because you need to slide, load up your shoulder, and then dive forward while you maintain your form perpendicular to the ground. So the mistake people do is here, they come down like this, and no way you would achieve a decent performance by cheating that way, because you're cheating on the leverage, making it easier for you to slide down. Slide over to the point that your shoulder and your wrist, elbow align, and from that position, you lock your elbow in the position and then dive back down. The next progression will probably be somewhere here, where again you slide up, load up, come down, and then push through your shoulder. Come down and push through your shoulder. What you want to avoid is here and here. That's maybe another reason why you're still far away from achieving a handstand, because your shoulder strength is not where it's supposed to be. And the next progression will be the handstand itself. If you want, you can scale it up to a higher pike. A higher pike will be pretty much loading a lot more. Come down and then push it. Come down and push it. So that will be the second progression from the floor, a higher elevation, and then even much higher elevation. The third progression will be the wall. Right here we don't have a wall, but we can use this. Slide forward, come down, and then push. Shoot. So this is how you can build shoulder power. Start with a push-up, pike push-up, elevated, elevated, and you finish with a wall version. And once you're able to build a decent strength, you can start playing with the balance part of it. And the balance would involve you using a higher progression of the movement that you use to build the isotonic movement. The isotonic repetition, meaning isotonic is up and down, right? Using eccentric and concentric. The isometric will be the one that will help you build the skill itself, because the handstand hold itself is an isometric movement. So use like a higher progression, meaning if you build your handstand using the power using like a pike or elevated pike push-up, you can jump on the wall and then hold the isometric movement on the wall for a specific amount of time. But the critical part is to make sure that during the hold you have a full elevation of your shoulder blade and locking in. Full elevation at all time. Teaching your shoulder blade to maintain that contraction for the longest amount of time will be decisive in you unlocking the push-up, the handstand. And again, if you were to do the pike to build the power, your goal will be to use an elevated pike for the isometric movement. You go like progression higher. I'll pick this for example, the highest elevation, hip and hip level, slide over, and then push as hard as possible. See the difference? Push as hard as possible, lean over, and then hold for time. Time doesn't have to be specific. Again, it will vary depending on your strength level that you will be having at that time, and it's up to you to figure it out. Going to failure may not be the best idea, but it will be still fine to go to failure. As long as you're consistent, you'll be able to get it. So don't get fooled by people who want to go with a specific scheme of repetition, time under tension, and this and that. All that works as long as you consistent. The only difference will be the time it will take you to achieve the result. The only difference will be that the time it takes you to achieve the result can vary slightly more or less if you have like a really predefined or designed, like really targeted, like a program or whatever it is that you want to call it. But if you follow the general idea of how to reach the goal, you will get it. And with a little bit of common sense, you should be able to get it. So don't try to overcomplicate the thing with different progression, different regression, and this and that and that. Just start simple with the simplest approach. Build the shoulder strength, and you have the different steps that I just showed you. You start with a pike push up on the floor, take it to the elevated pike push up, and then you end up with a wall push up. Just as simple as that. Just 3 simple steps to build the shoulder power. And then with the same protocol, you use the the next progression that you from the progression that you use which to build the power, and then you work on the shoulder elevation and keep it under tension. Simple as that. Eventually you're gonna end up with a wall elevation where the wall progression where you be both using the wall prop for the shoulder elevation and to build the shoulder strength as well by incorporating the the handstand push up on the wall. So that's that. So you start from the floor and you slowly make your way to the wall. I'm using a pole there, but you get the point. So build power first and then build strength. Sometimes both can overlap. As you have a good level of shoulder strength already, you can start working both at the same time. But for my experience, you need to focus a lot on the strength first before you start worrying about the balance. And once you reach a certain decent level of strength within maybe 3 months of training the shoulder strength, then you can start like mix and match the strength and the balance part of it. But like I said again, it doesn't take much more than that. Build a shoulder strength and then just get yourself upside down and push as hard as possible. Simple as that. All right, drop down comments below of those who already have the skill. Let us know which how hard it was for you to achieve the handstand, and for those who have not achieved the skill yet, let us know how you want to go about, if you want to follow my advice, and if you follow them, the advice that I gave you, and eventually start seeing some results, feel free to let us have some feedback and that we can share with other people. And maybe I'm wrong, who knows, but I can 100% guarantee that if you follow those advice, build the strength and then build the balance, you should be just fine. All right, drop comments below, like and subscribe. It is very much appreciated. Spread the word about Meckanimal, a holistic way to what am I saying? What is my motto again? Meckanimal, the holistic approach to fitness. Yeah, that's that. I'm tired, man. Peace.
The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will be live.